So we'll start here. This is Harran. Once a big, giant, walled city. And this is one of the first places we went. In fact, this was the first place we went. Just tremendous amount of work that's been done here. I don't think there's anything like super ancient about it. Just an interesting site to go visit. There's a village built around it, but it was this giant walled city. You can see this is like the grounds of it. This was the top of it. There's actually a citadel over in the town that I did fly over in a video that I don't have anymore. Legato. Man, thank you so much for the 6 months, dude. We did do a lot of listening. It was also funny, we were in... I'm not going to talk about the site so much. I'll tell some stories about the trip, though. So, one of the issues, obviously, Turkey's just been through this horrible... particularly that part of Turkey. They had the earthquake. So they had all these earthquakes in the Şanlıurfa region and all around it. Şanlıurfa itself wasn't too bad. I mean, the city was fine. It was normal. We only saw one building that had fallen down. We barely even know. We're like, holy shit, look at that. Like, this whole building's just rubble. And we got some pictures here. Yeah, so this is well over here that's kind of interesting. And, I had this earthquake, and there's a lot of cities that were really badly affected. And Ramazan, the guy that, our guide, the guy who works for the government there, fantastic guy, really liked him. We got along really well, and he was within a day or two helping people in villages, pulling out. He had some horror stories. It was really bad. Ancient sites didn't take too much damage. The area in Şanlıurfa, like a few of the tops on the minarets from the mosques fell off. The ancient sites didn't have a lot of damage from earthquake, but the cities did. There was a couple of cities that were really destroyed. But the official death toll, something like 50,000. Ramazan, I heard from a few people, he think it's more like 250,000. They didn't count, and they didn't help a lot of the outlying villages. All of the aid went to the cities. And he said, after a week or two, in some places, you couldn't walk around because of the smell from the dead bodies. And, he has these just horror stories from it. It was just terrible. They went through this terrible time. And then they got flooded. In Şanlıurfa, they got flooded. And like 14, 15 people died because there's people living in tents from the earthquake, and a bunch of people died in the flood. And I remember Ramazan picks me up from the airport, and he's like, I was half expecting like a meteorite to hit us as the next thing. So we were going through that. I mean, a lot of stuff was shut. The museum wasn't available, which apparently the museum is one of the major highlights there. Kind of the story of my life, not getting into museums, given the Egypt. And, it was... So the museum got flooded. We saw a lot of flood damage. Like, there's this whole massive big shopping mall, and there's just like 2 feet of mud in the parking lot, and the whole thing was flooded out. Lots of places were shut. Ramazan, he works for the government, so he could open a few of them, but they literally moved 65,000 artifacts out of the museum and spread them all out over the place. So you couldn't see any of that stuff. And then the other thing that happened is it was Ramadan. So we went there during Ramadan, which is like... So, we're a bunch of Westerners, and people are on holiday. They want to have a drink, right? So people are like, where the hell's the booze? We can't get any booze. You can't drink anywhere. You can't buy it anywhere. We found one store in the whole city of 2.5 million people that was about 30 minutes away. And I'm not talking like a big liquor barn, like, giant Bevmo or something. This is like a 7-Eleven, which has and the first night, we just went in Ramazan's car, a couple of us, and did the similar thing to what we do in Egypt. You bring in a suitcase and you just like take all the beers, because you just sell them. Or people pay you for what they want back at the hotel, and you're buying for like 25 plus people, so you buy a lot of booze. But yeah, so once we got that dialed in, and then you can't really drink in public, or the hotel didn't want us drinking in the front room, so we had this back room in the hotel. It was a real nice hotel, but we were like right away from everyone. Big open couches and like nice room, but it quickly got sort of termed the infidel room. So we'd hang out at night and do stuff. It was nice. We were based in one hotel. That we weren't like packing bags up and moving around and stuff. So that happened. So there's some excavations. There's so much. Look at the shit that's here. Like, it's just, they've been using this building material in these towns forever. So this is Harran. Let's just keep going through this, and I'll keep talking. We'll get to the interesting stuff too. I just want to look at... I haven't looked at this footage. I haven't looked at any of this stuff yet. So you guys are discovering this at the same time as I am. So that was a bit of a challenge. But we made it work. Yeah, beautiful place. Big bazaar right near where we were, just full of people. Maybe I can look at some pictures here in a sec. What's this? Little drone shot finishes. All your beer belonged to us. Pretty much. Those guys, because we went back a few times, and then we ran 2 week-long tours, 2 groups. And they loved us. They're like, oh, my friends, you know. Actually, it was funny. One night we were in there, it's just like, we're just in the store buying, and then all of a sudden you just hear this gunshots out, like 5 or 6 gunshots looking, and it was like, it was pretty loud, and it wasn't too close, but these like guns went off, and the guy, and we just sort of, and we look at the guy behind the counter, he just shrugs and goes, Texas. It's pretty funny. Turkey might have the most significant for moving the needle. I think so, in terms of, it probably was a wedding or something. Yeah, it's not like a gunfight erupting. It was a very one-sided gunfight, if that's the case. Guys just let off a few rounds, yeah. It's quite hard to own a gun there, apparently, but I mean, I'm sure people do. Where is this? So this is the quarry for Jethro. It's like Moses' father-in-law. So Shenlerf is the city of prophets. This is the birthplace of Abraham. And, Abraham's kind of the central figure and the founder of the Judaism and Islam and Christianity, essentially. So you have all 3 of those, Judeo-Christian religions, or religions of the book. It's a very holy place for everyone in those faiths. And this was apparently the place where, in that city, was where, he was born, and then he was, burned. And there's a story in the Quran that talks about, and this is Fish Lake, so we're staying right on this area. So apparently there's an area where Abraham was burned, but as soon as the flames touched his body, they turned to water. And then as the wood that he was on, all the wood turned to fish. So it's this beautifully manicured park with this massive lake with all these channels full of fish. And they're all holy and sacred, and nobody takes the fish or whatever. And Ross made a joke at one point. He said, oh, there's dinner. And Ramazan looks at him and goes, this is the last dinner you'd ever have. And there's also like this sacred little lake, this pond. It's in one of the mosques, so you go in and you can look at it. And it's apparently where he went in as a baby, and he came out as like for 6 months, and he came out as like a 15-year-old boy or something, right? Fish Lake's the name of it. It's the name of the little area in Shenlerfa, but it used to be called Urfa. It was the biblical Edessa, so Edessa, Edessa. So it's an ancient city. It's been there for thousands of years. It's a big old castle that sits on top of the hill that I got all this footage of. It's at least 2,000 years old. I think it probably goes back further. Well, they actually say that it was a mound that goes back, 10,000 years. There's actually a mound and structures inside it, and as you walk around it, because it's on top of the hill, you look at the other sort of hilltops which have houses on them, and you can see caves and stuff all carved through it. Everywhere we drove here, all the hills, it's all this limestone hills. There are hundreds of caves, absolutely everywhere. Like, just, you wouldn't believe how much caves and stuff's been going on here. I'm sure there's people in that city with, a 10,000-year-old wine cellar under their houses. You got stuff going well and truly back into Neolithic times as people have been living here. And then, one of my favorite sites was Karahan Tepe, which we'll get to. Karahan's fascinating, given that they've only just started excavating in like 2019. And it's just huge. You can just see the scale of it, and they're barely even excavating in the main area. But this was supposedly, if I remember correctly, this was this area that was like I forget the name of it. It was apparently Moses' father-in-law, the Tomb of Jethro or something. It was actually some cool stuff here. We couldn't get to Sogmatar, to Nemrut the first week because of all the snow. But so this was Shenlerfa. This is the view early morning out of the hotel. Fish Lake. This is a little bazaar back here. You can't really see a lot. This was the bazaar in the city, just across the road from where we were on the hotel. Just rows and rows of this maze-like place with spices and nuts and textiles and furniture. They're like doing blacksmithing in there. They're doing woodwork in there. They're just thousands of these little stores, and you can see like the old sort of constructed stone buildings everywhere. Opens up into these squares, into a mosque, and this is the Fish Lake area. The mosque This has the little lake where Abraham was, did his little time traveling thing. Obviously the mosque here. So the spires from the mosque fell off. This is earthquake damage. The tops of these spires of a lot of these mosques and these mosques fell out. Lots of cats running around everywhere. Of course, you catch the cats just doing their thing. Yep. I was using this Pixel, this Google Pixel 7 Pro. I really like it. How does Turkey feel in general about their archaeology? Is much interest? They're really trying to encourage tourism in this particular area, the Göbekli Tepe area, which is part of the reason I got invited. So these are the fish in Fish Lake. This is Şanlıurfa Castle with some very Roman-esque columns on top of it. Little cafe area down the bottom here, and then this was the castle up on top of the hill. So yeah, this is Fish Lake. So this was the restaurant just next to the hotel where we eat a lot. It's a beautiful, like I said, beautiful place. This is the whole Fish Lake area. That mosque we looked at's over on the left. And then you have this whole big castle up here with a giant moat. We finally got up there sort of later on to look at it. Yeah, really cool. There is a big-ass moat all around this castle. And it was shut for earthquake damage as well. We couldn't go in there, but we could walk around it. This is back in the bazaar. All the gold merchants. Pigeon shops. Want to get some funky pigeons? Lots of pigeons. This one here, the pink one looks... Unless, I assume that's pink. Other than blood, but pink. The thing probably gets pecked to hell by its friends. And of course, the Turkish coffee. There's Russ and George Howard. Yeah, so here's Harran. This was originally this giant big walled city. This is what it looked like. And there's a remnants of this structure here. That's this. So this thing here, this fortress at the gate. This is the remnants of that. You can see the round pillars of it still. I did fly over there before, but I lost all that footage for some reason. This was our transport, a couple buses, mini buses. They had some good digs here. They were still working. It's just, there's so much going on here. Excuse me. The oldest period of building there, at Harran or in Turkey. You're talking, obviously, Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe, so 12,000 years old. It's Göbekli Tepe. So we worked this out. It's 10,000 BC, so 12,000 years old. Right in the younger. So it's a questionable dating in terms of I think it's much older. A lot of us think it's much older, and I'm going to do a video about it. But that's kind of the youngest date we have, and it's solid. Like no one else was in there after it. Like those are the dates where we know it was buried. But again, it's one of those sites where it looks like you had multiple periods of occupancy, and I'll show you. We'll get into the photos of it sooner or later. Yeah, actually, I did enjoy this. This was in that. This is at Harran. You don't think look at this? They're just digging this shit up. Like these are all these these blocks of stone, like limestone, a lot of it, and they're just picking them up with like a tractor lift and then going and using them for stuff. That's probably what these guys do all day. Standard practice, This was pretty cool, I thought, too. It's probably upside down. No, it's not upside down. So this was like there's some interesting pieces of stuff around here, and there's other things that go down there. I think this was a well.
Yeah, right.
It's a bold strategy, Khan. We'll see how it plays.
But Göbekli Tepe at 12,000 years old is, and Karahan Tepe is older, at least 500 years older, and it's like 4 times bigger.
Might be a well.
Is granite used there? That's Ramazan there. Is granite? We didn't see a lot of granite. There's basalt. Mostly everything's limestone. There's sandstone as well, but most everything here is limestone. That's the local building material. Nemrut is like Tura limestone, which some of that can be about as hard as granite, but most everything is limestone. There's just these huge limestone hills. The geography of it's really interesting. So let's move forward here. Sogmatar, man, I was it's a bit emotional going to Sogmatar just because Chuck Apps, CF Apps was the man for Sogmatar. He always did we talked about Dakota Winters, a Dakota of Earth. He runs a YouTube channel as well, and he was part of the organizers for it, and he knew Chuck. And I really wanted to, like, because I only got to go there once, because I had to skip out a couple of days on the second tour, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But he, Chuck had done a lot of videos on Sogmatar. He'd looked at it. It's a really mysterious site, and I had used his videos as guidance for it. So, I could have gone and virtue signaled and put a bit of a little thing. Hey, I'm at Sogmatar, thinking of Chuck Apps. I don't know if I tweeted or said something on that day, but I was thinking about. I was just, it was like, man, it's kind of like, I felt like I was seeing it for him, because he'd never been there or whatever. But it was Sogmatar we went to after this, which was a trip. Sogmatar was very interesting. Let's see, where does Sogmatar start? This might be Sogmatar here. So this is Sogmatar. This is part of it. So again, it's like Sogmatar is a complex site. There's one giant man-made structure that sits in the middle of, it's like these riverbeds that come through, and there's some giant man-made structure. It looks like a hill, but it's man-made now. And around it are these 7 temples dedicated to 7 different planets. And this is like one of these planetary temples. The other hills, they are sites. They definitely are sites. And you can see the geography, like the land, like it's just bare rock. A lot of this, like it's limestone. We always felt like, after driving around here so long, anytime you see like a hill that isn't just bare limestone and it's got dirt and sod and grass on it, there's probably something under there if you dig. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Any obvious high technology precision on this trip? Not particularly, I'd say. There's signs of it with some of the masonry, but not at Göbekli Tepe or Karahan Tepe necessarily, I don't think. There are parts of Turkey that do show, tube drills and saw cuts and precision cut stuff and flat surfaces. This is to me, more interesting just in terms of the evidence for like organized civilization going back so far back. Did I get to Derinkuyu? No, I didn't. Not this time. And you can see the village has basically been built from all these stones from these sites. And you have these caves that are cut, and they have shapes. There's like these crescent moons, the bull horns. A lot of it's been defaced, but you can see like the bull head or the crescent moon. It's kind of where some of this stuff is where Turkey kind of gets its flag from. Yeah, hunter-gatherers at work, exactly. It's George Howard. These kids, and just fucking kids everywhere. Like, you're just constantly accompanied by all these kids. Maraba. I got the first word. I know what the other ones mean, but marhaba, teshakula, for the chat. Yes. So this is the structure in the middle of Sogmatar. This thing's man-made, I'm pretty sure. And less pyramid-y, more citadel-y. It could potentially be a step pyramid, but you have some of these big, tall walls that are on it. We did sort of clamber up these things. Lots of rock-cut caves all over the damn place. Just more than you could ever poke us. You just couldn't get to them. I wanted to get out here again, but I couldn't because I had to. So you see on top of these hills, that's the man-made structure. The pan's too fast, but hopefully I've got some more video here. It's raw, yeah. It's no, Barabar caves or anything.
It is. Full of poop.
It's also full screen, isn't it? No, it's just whatever.
That is all like chisel.
Leave it full screen for now. That's Dakota. Dakota Wint.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the big man-made. And it's in the middle of these river valleys that flow through it. There's astronomical alignments at these sites too. Like, that's the other thing that with Karahan and with Göbekli Tepe, they've found a lot of alignments that match kind of some of the dating, and certainly may attribute a bit more significance to the site. So I like Graham Hancock's idea of Göbekli Tepe, maybe even Karahan being a technology transfer. So you see these are the other temples on top of these hills as my 5x zoom on the camera in action. And you see them out here on these hills. They all surrounded these sites. Dakota is a trippy dude. I think they were teaching them, obviously agriculture is probably one, because that's the other thing, like, Göbekli Tepe coincides with the modern emergence of agriculture in our time, about 12,000 years ago. And I think they were teaching them building and maybe cultural significance, but potentially also astronomy and watching the stars because of the significance and the danger that comes from the heavens. And it depends how far you go down, Martin Sweatman's theory around Göbekli Tepe. Because if that's actually like a astronomical calendar, it may have taken up to 2 precessional cycles, just 56,000 years to really observe and get that stuff down. So get later stuff. There's lots of Roman, Persian, Ottoman. There's just cultural layers upon layers. So you see this big man-made structure that's here, and you just dig in here, you'd find blocks. And there's a bit of a nice little. What do you call this? I don't know landscape. I don't know what you call it. Panorama. That's it. So yeah, these are some of these other areas and temples that surround it. The 7 planetary temples, panoramic. Yeah. No idea what this thing is. Modern, obviously, but you see what I mean by caves everywhere. And people built their homes on them. Like, that's just standard. So I think this is up on top of the big structure in the center, I believe. So some of this stonework's pretty good. I mean, it's not amazing. It's not like giant blocks. But dude, there's some big pillars Karahan Tepe. There's still like a 30-ton T-pillar in a quarry. And of course, you dig down, like this is all. So there's sod on top, but this is all kind of stacked rocks. Yeah, and that's the other part. Yeah, the high relief carvings and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, Sebastian. It's too bad we have this here. George was he was trying to get down this high level up here, and I should have filmed more of it because we thought he was going to go ass over tit for sure coming down this hill, but it's George Howard. We're just filming him, waiting for it. There's a little path here you can get onto it.
They directed him to the steppy things.
Oh yes, the beer. So this is at the beer store now. This is the local beer, the FS, 38 Turkish lira. There was some stuff. This is the Tomb of Jethro that we were flying around in the drone earlier. This had definitely there's faces and there's some interesting stonework at this place. And it's never been excavated, this place. This is just as it is. The locals have been digging here. You got stuff like this. See that beveled block? You see this at a few sites. There's some other purpose to this. It was somewhere else originally. I don't know how much it's reused and been rebuilt. You also have a fair bit of erosion going on, although it is limestone. Hard to really figure it out. But I think you have these older caves and these older systems that people built their homes on, and then eventually a civilization comes along and maybe makes a larger structure on top of that, incorporating it. That's certainly the case in Shanlurfa with the castle. I mean, you've literally got Neolithic mounds that go back 10, 12,000 years, and then there's a 2,000-year-old castle sort of sitting on top of that, so who the hell knows what was in there originally. I don't know. Looks like a saw cut to me, but I wasn't sure. Stuff like this is like an arch. This is probably the top of an archway. There's like some structure that's down below the ground here. There's just so much to be excavated in this region. It would take forever. A lot of this is Roman probably too. Like, you got to remember the Romans were here. So yeah, this was the necropolis. Oh yeah, we were hanging out at the. This is a restaurant that we were at. A bunch of people on the trip. Kyle and Lila and Laura.
Alright, don't let me ask you something.
Go ahead.
Why do you leave all these rocks and shit laying out in the backyard?
They're called ruins, Eddie.
Ruins, huh?
Yeah, ruins.
I hope you all enjoyed that video. I'm trying to make these things a bit more of a regular upload to my second channel here, the Uncharted X Live channel. So please do consider subscribing to this channel. That really helps me out. Big thanks to Dub Selector for taking the time to edit these videos. Very much appreciate his help on this. Also, if you want to catch me live over on Twitch, I am streaming 2-3 times a week. I generally announce when I'm going to stream in my Discord, so if you want to join the Discord, take a look below in the comments. There'll be a link to the Discord. And if you like the work that I'm doing, please do consider supporting the channel through the value for value model. There's lots of ways that you can support the work that I'm doing. It's all outlined on my website. It's unchartedx.com/support. We'll catch you in the next one.